I'm CinematicCritic, fresh off from seeing the movie Captain America: Civil War. A couple things to note. I noticed that going to my local theater, Middletown, I will not be able to do live reviews at my local theater because it's a dead zone. So no live reviews if I go to my local theater. So that's why I gotta stick to going to Swansea or Seekonk. So to my Facebook Live people, I'm sorry about that, but you still can see it here on YouTube. Number two, I know things look a little bluish right now. It's just the way that I have my computer set up. After we get through the actors, everything will go back to normal color. Anyway, let's get into this. You're probably noticing the rating. It just dragged on. I'm going to talk about it for a few minutes without actually talking about the plot or the characters. It dragged on. It did. I have not been bored with a Marvel movie. I kind of wish that I was... Batman vs. Superman is still playing here. Who knows? I mean, I'm planning to go see Ratchet and Clank tomorrow. I may add that to my list as well, because I've always been more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan. I've seen almost no DC movies compared to I've seen all the Marvel movies. But that's because I feel like the DC movies are kind of paced slow. So to see a Marvel movie go slow, I was like, what the heck? You might as well slap a DC tag on it. Oh, and by the way, if you're coming to see this for Spider-Man, he's in it for all of 10 minutes. Yeah. Funny how that works. All in all, this movie is a 5 out of 11, and there were times where I thought I was going to give it the 7, the recommend. You know me. I love Marvel movies. I was a giant fan of Thor: The Dark World. I loved Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I give that a 9. Ugh! The characters are okay in this, but the plot, the whole idea, I mean, it's pretty much the Marvel version of Batman vs. Superman from what I can gather, because you've got the two DC people split in half. You've got Iron Man, instead of Batman vs. Superman, you've got Iron Man versus Captain America. You might have well called this Avengers Civil War. Oh, you can't call it that because Thor and Bruce Banner the Hulk aren't in this. So, let's talk about the acting before we get into the story, and then I'll talk a little more before I actually get into the story as well, because there was a Stan Lee towards the end. He showed up as a FedEx delivery person. It's funny because he's called Tony Stark. Tony, I forgot what he called him now. See, not all too memorable, even that appearance. There were a couple of laugh-out-loud moments in this movie, and they all came from Captain America. So talking about characters, Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, Captain America, I will honestly say one of the only good actors in this movie. He delivered the same thing that I got out of him in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. He delivered the character of Captain America, the serious and yet funny at some point, guys. Robert Downey Jr., second build as Tony Stark Iron Man. Where were you? Who was this guy, and what did he do with Tony Stark / Iron Man? Okay, I get it. It's supposed to be more serious. He's supposed to be accepting and everything. But that's one of the problems, is the way that it's set up. It makes Tony Stark, it literally makes him seem like a bad guy. And I get that they're kind of trying to, he's the antagonist. But you can be the antagonist without being a bad guy. You can be the person in the way without being a bad guy. And the ending, when we get to the ending in the plot, that just doesn't fit the persona that I imagine of Iron Man. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, stay tuned for the spoiler section. Or don't. Just know that... Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. Again, just like in Civil War, which I saw a couple weeks ago, she's really good. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes / the Winter Soldier. Okay, there were flaws with the Winter Soldier, granted, in this movie. But actually getting to see Bucky Barnes and Captain trying to fight together was refreshing. It did work in many cases. Honestly, I'd say it's about half and half. It could have done a little more. They could have shown more of a struggle of Bucky Barnes trying to control the Winter Soldier persona of him. Something that isn't really done. He's not really controlled. He's either one or the other. It's like there's no real struggle there between the two in the middle. So that's something that could have been improved. Sam Wilson / the Falcon. Alright. Good acting of it. I mean, now we're getting into characters that really weren't all too important in here. War Machine. I didn't even notice that one. Hawkeye. Okay. Jeremy Renner as Clint / Hawkeye. Of course. Seeing him in that middle battle scene, I'll call it, the one with Spider-Man for 10 minutes, was actually, it was nice. Now, here's one of the characters I do like. Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, pardon me if I'm saying that wrong, / Black Panther. Okay, now this was one of the more complex characters done right, where his complex background was, basically the Winter Soldier has killed his father, and now that's early in the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. And he's out to get the Winter Soldier, and I'll talk more about what happens after that in the plot, but this Black Panther character that just comes out, I liked him. This Black Panther character was actually my favorite character of the movie, even more so than Captain America. So, good job. Paul Bettany as Vision. I kind of thought that he was a Jarvis-y looking guy, but I don't know. I don't know what to think of him. He must not be one of the common Marvel characters. I'm not a huge Marvel guy. I just read the books. Was he in one of the other Marvel movies? I don't remember this guy. I don't remember. What can I say? Scarlet Witch. Okay, now this is one that I don't remember much, but Elizabeth Olsen did a really good job acting it out, and she did a great job bringing this character to life. I liked the background of this character. Not as much as Black Panther's. It had too much, I would say, I'm not sure if this is a bad thing necessarily, but it had a lot of an X-Men feel to it. And I guess X-Men is technically, well, I know that X-Men is Marvel technically, so her powers make her seem more like a mutant, so more like an X-Men. Paul Rudd as Scott Lang / Ant-Man. Refreshing to see him in this. I definitely like seeing Ant-Man back in this. I loved the Ant-Man movie, and it's great to see him in this. And then we got Emily Von Camp as Sharon Carter. I'm going to skip that one for one more second. Daniel Brühl as Zemo. Frank Grillo is is Daniel Brühl as Zemo, I think, is the villain in this movie. The actual villain who's pulling the strings and everything. But he's not the only one. Like I said, Tony Stark. And the one I skipped was we've got another new actor for Spider-Man, Tom Holland. Peter Parker / Spider-Man. And in this movie, we found about halfway through, Peter Parker just got his powers. He's only been Spider-Man for 6 months. No one knows about it. We don't have anything. So, is there going to be a third Spider-Man reboot? Because I'm going to say it, I liked Spider-Man's 1 and 2. Not the amazing Spider-Man's 1 and 2. Spider-Man's 1 and 2 with Tobey Maguire. Did not like Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. Did not like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Did like The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Make up your mind! I would take the cartoon where Drake Bell voices Spider-Man. It's called The Amazing Spider-Man. Because I would take that any day. That really is a good cartoon. I haven't checked it out. Give it a watch. If you are a true Marvel fan, you might want to give all those cartoons a watch. They're not canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they're fun. And you don't see things like this happen in this movie. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the plot. I know I'm already 10 minutes in, but we'll keep the plot talking short because really, I've said what needs to be said about this movie already. That it's flawed, and let's talk about it as we go through the plot. And as always, I do have some spoiler hat available, but first, the 3 points, the 3.5 points that are not spoilers. I am stupid because I forgot to open it again. Seven examples. Ah, good. It's right there, ready to go. Okay. So, number one, the backstory that haunts the central character. Well, we're kind of introduced to this. Is the whole idea of this is he wants to save his friend, the Winter Soldier. Hydra is practically I don't think it exists at all in this. Like I mentioned, that other bad guy is not really seen too much. So that would honestly be the backstory. I don't know how else to tell you it. It's all about him. I guess I could say it's kind of like the governments want to take control of the Avengers because they think that the Avengers do too much damage. And to the movie's credit, it does set it up as the Avengers have done damage. And it flat out says they've killed people, not directly and indirectly. They have killed people, or I should say, their actions have their consequences. Consequences of their actions have been killing people. So there's that. Sorry for looking around, but I'm actually the only guy left in the parking lot because it's midnight here. So I'm going to have to hurry this up. Number two, the catalyst gets the character moving. It's obviously that Captain America doesn't want to sign this new petition or whatever you want to call it that the United Nations has come up with to say we're gonna put all you guys in check, and that Captain America is like, I don't think so. And the moment that changes the character's life, there's an attack, and we get our first battle sequence, and Bucky Barnes is part of the attack, and of course Steve Rogers, Captain America, has to save Bucky Barnes, and so we get all of that, and that's pretty much the end of the Act 1, a very long Act 1. So, moment 3, Act 2, let's get in number 3. I'm sorry, number 3, the big, well, yeah, that is number 3. So, number 4, the midpoint, the point of no return, the point of deep motivation is kind of that point where they split. And we do get that interest in battle. The highlight of the movie halfway through, which is not good to have the highlight of the movie halfway through, where we've got that battle between like Ant-Man and Spider-Man and basically all the characters I mentioned, all the superheroes fighting, and it is cool. So if you're for an action movie, you'll gotta get a kick out of that. But that really is all I can say for this movie. Was the action, some of the characters were good, and I can't recommend this movie. I don't put it down. Maybe it's worth one watch, especially if you're a Marvel fan. I can't put it down too much, but I can't give it a 7. I won't give it a 4, which is like really bad to me, but I'll give it a 5. Anyway, let's finish it up with 5 minutes of spoilers. Do I have a hat? I don't have a hat. Makeshift hat for spoiler time. Alright, so here we go. For spoilers, number 5. The crisis is the low point or the turning point that forces the key decision to lead to your story's end. Well, basically, Tony Stark decides, I'm wrong. I'm no longer going to support this. I am going to go ahead and switch sides and go with Captain America and Bucky Barnes, and he goes with them to stop the main bad guy. But this is where things get bad again. Number 6, the climax of the showdown is the final face-off between your central character and the opposition. Yes, Black Panther does end up killing Zemo, the real bad guy here. But it's the battle between Iron Man. It's the battle between Iron Man and Captain America. While entertaining as a battle, the way it's set up is, and here I go, this last rant. Why can't I have such a problem with this. Why can't Tony Stark understand that he was basically brainwashed? Why that Bucky Barnes was basically brainwashed when he attacked his parents all those years ago? Why? Why can't he understand his parents? I mean, I get the whole reaction things, but I mean, and you'll only get this if you're an anime watcher, but I mean, if Naruto was able to accept Kurama, because Kurama was under a genjutsu, essentially a brainwashed by Madara, if he was able to accept the fact that Kurama killed his parents when he was under mind control, and when he was free, they were able to defeat the bad guy. Why, and again, sorry if you don't get the anime reference, but those of you who do, you know what I'm talking about. Why does Tony Stark not get it through his head that the Winter Soldier was brainwashed? It's a convenient plot twist. It is a very convenient plot twist, a little too convenient. And it is just one of many in this movie. I haven't even mentioned them all. There are many convenient plot twists, and that's just one of them. And it's ultimately what holds this movie back. Number 7, and 2 minutes left to do it. The realization occurs when your character and the audience sees that the character has changed or has realized something or a resolution to the problem. There is no resolution in this. They set up a sequel. There's going to be a sequel. There has to be. Because, I mean, there can't be anything but. So, there are no Avengers right now, basically. What's going to happen? Are they going to throw Thor and Hulk into the mix and say, oh, hey guys, guess what? The Avengers are split up. Pick a side. Because that's basically all they can do at this point. In fact, I'll take it off and say that. Alright, for your non-spoiler paper, I'm going to say what I just said again. What are they going to do in the next movie? Are they going to throw Thor and the Hulk in this and say, hey, pick a side, because the battle is still going on? And I know you may say, oh, the battle's still going on? You mean it's not resolved? Isn't that a spoiler? Well, I left a ton of stuff out. If that spoiler hat, that I said a lot of stuff in the spoiler hat that I didn't say now. It is important that even if you didn't listen to spoiler, come on, you have to know that they weren't gonna. You'll see very quickly that they're not gonna resolve everything in this first movie. You'll see it halfway through the movie. They're not gonna resolve everything in this movie. They can't resolve everything in this movie. This is going to be. There's gonna be a sequel. And if there's not a sequel, it's because this movie wasn't good. There's going to be demand for one, though. Don't worry about that. I think I did a pretty good job giving you my personal opinion, the critical opinion. So, I'm just going to end it there. 20 minutes. 5 out of 11. That's all.